This is Wendy Coetzee A. Normally, I have the joy and the privilege of being with you in person as your master of ceremonies for the different events. As you know by now, it's not going to happen that way this year. At least we're all managing to reach each other via Zoom and through this rather unusual medium, and it's becoming, as they keep saying, the new norm. One thing for sure, the Reaching for Stars candidates for 2020 are never going to forget the experience of doing everything remotely through a little pinhole of communication. What I'm going to do with you right now is spend a bit of time talking about communication, which I know you're going to tell me any minute now is the stuff you can do in your sleep. Everybody can communicate, right? Well, no. It's not quite the same way a skill that you would do like being taught how to cook or how to present food. The same as being taught how to know your wines and how to present them. This is something that requires you to go deep inside you to be able to communicate well. Interestingly, it's not just a skill of your job, it's also a skill of life. It's about relationships. It's about dating. It's about everything around you. And I spent my whole life in a career of corporate communications. Most of the time I was working in Johannesburg, and most of the time the problem with communication was what lay between management and staff. My job was to be able to bring that gap just a little bit smaller, which was a fairly complex sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it comes down to individual communication. It's up to you how you communicate, how you work with other people. And I tell you something, if it comes down to choosing candidates who can communicate and who can't, even when your skills are the same, you'll be astonished how the skill of communication is the one that brings you forward. So we're going to take about 20 minutes to have a look at what are the fundamentals of communication. How do you separate a good communicator from a so-so communicator? Right, communication is the stuff that you do have to learn. It's not something that you're born with. You can actually get your mind around the skills. So have a look at it. But before we do, I want to say hello to all of you guys out there. Our chefs, are you up to here in cooking? Cooked about 672 meals, and that's just this month in September. I can understand how that feels. Hope your kitchen doesn't look like that. Now, wine stewards, we need to talk about this. Strictly 1 glass a day, can't have more than that. And I know you've been under a bit of stress because our president keeps taking away the rights to get to the alcohol, but monitor yourself. 1 glass should do it. As for our bakers, I've seen some pretty weird baking going on in terms of cupcakes, but if this is your idea of fun, hey, why not? Coronavirus could be the right subject to work with. Concierges, a bit more complicated. I need to tell you this. When you get back to work, you could try persuading management, but I've got a feeling you're not going to be allowed to sit like that when you sit down to do your work behind the front line of the desk. Right, so now let's talk about communication. Obvious stuff, right? No, wrong, not so. I want to pause just for a little second and think about a situation where you've got people in a job, both applying. There are two of you. You've both got the same skills. You both have been studying in the same culinary academy. You both even maybe have been job shadowing in the same hotel somewhere. Maybe you're the same age. There really isn't much between the two of you. And now along you come to the interview and you're asked to speak. And the person interviewing you says to you, why exactly do you want this job? Candidate 1 says, well, I just feel that I'm, I don't know. I just want it. Candidate 2, in answer to the same question, says, I really feel I could make a difference in my own career, but also to the organization I choose to work with. I want to learn, I'm keen, and I know I've got a lot to offer, but I think I could learn in this organization. What's the difference? You've sort of both said you want the job, but the difference is confidence and its voice, and it's a whole lot of other things to go with it. Why I'm telling you that is that never underestimate the power of good communication. Whether you are talking to your executive chef in a kitchen or receiving instructions, whether you're talking to your colleagues, whether you are presenting to your clients in a frontline situation, they are judging you the whole time on how you communicate. And you might be thinking, oh, she means how I speak. But that's what I'm going to show you. Communication is not only about speaking. So let's have a look at what and how that works. So, how much of communication is talking? Now, if I was in the same room as you, I'd be asking you for answers to that question. What do you think sitting there listening to me? 90%? That's high. So that means only 10% of what you're saying in communication is the not talking stuff. Here's something a bit more realistic. So you're probably sitting there thinking half of what I'm communicating is speaking and the other half is other stuff. Well, you're wrong. There's the statistic. 7% of what you're communicating and only 7% are the actual words that you are delivering. That's a shocker. That means 93% is coming from something else. What is that? How do we control it? Now, you've got an example here of somebody talking, but now look very, very closely at my other friends over here. Not a word being said, nor a yap, nor a yowl, nor an anything, but look at those faces. They're communicating. We know exactly what it is that they're saying, but they're using other things besides yapping and talking. There's the breakdown. Out of 100% of communication, whether you are just one-on-one or whether you are delivering something to an audience, is as follows. 7% are the actual words. 38% are tone. Now, tone is a complex thing that lies behind your spoken word, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And 55%, a whopping 55%, is non-verbal communication. So let's break them down. Let's have a little look. The 7%, don't be too quick to chuck that one out and say, well, if it's only 7%, then the words don't matter. The truth is they do matter. People quickly pick up whether you actually know your subject, whether you're using the right vocabulary. So in this program, which is primarily a mentorship program, absorb everything like a sponge. Learn the vocabulary, learn the lingo, learn how to say the right words. You can never get away when you are a wine steward of saying, yes, sir, would you like to have some of this beautiful Sauvignon Blanc? It's kind of nice, and it's kind of not sweet, and it's kind of, you're not going to get away with that. You need to have your vocabulary. You need to understand words like crisp and vanilla and flavors and dry and all the things that go with your particular arena of expertise. So the 7% might only be 7%, but it's an incredibly important 7%. Right, having assumed you understand that, now let's have a look at the 38%. Tone, still the spoken part, but it's your voice, how it comes along. High and low. There's nothing more annoying whether you are a girl or a guy when you hear somebody with a very high voice, because a high voice is quite often a soft voice, and a soft voice and a high voice doesn't exactly instill confidence. And it's something you can control. You don't have to have been born with a deep voice, but listen to yourself, hear it, and bring your voice into something a bit more well modulated. The easier you are to listen to, the more I'm going to listen to you. So that's your first thing. The second part of tone is attitude. Attitude, oh, that one gets away with us so quickly. Attitude comes across in how you present your voice. Chef says, I want to have that roast pork in the oven by 2 o'clock. And the chefs in front of them sort of turn around and say, yeah, all right, chef. And the second one says, yeah, all right, chef. Now, the first one is sort of reacting not so well. The second one saying, oh, really? Have we got time for this? The third person steps up and says, all right, yes, chef. The exact same words, but the attitude behind it says more than the words. This is where we're beginning to understand what they mean about only 7% of communication being what matters, the words. Those words are power-packed with attitude, and watch it and guard it, because believe you me, the people on the receiving end are hearing it. The third aspect of tone is a match. You cannot have an incongruency between the actual words you're choosing and the way that you say them. So are you enjoying your job with us? Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying my job with you. Well, then tell your voice, match the two together. The words and the tone have got to be at the same level and the same meaning. When your audience hears you, they will hear your words, but they will actually believe your tone more than they will believe what you're saying in vocabulary. Let's put those three together and call them HAM, H-A-M, just so as you can remember it. And I know Morritt will approve of our choice of a meat there. Ham it is. So now let's have a look at the 55%. Non-verbal communication. Let's start with probably the most important thing, your face and your eyes. Now, we've had lots of practice at the moment with masks, haven't we? To communicate with your eyes. Haven't you noticed with people with their masks on, you can actually see if they're smiling or they're not, but you can't see their mouth. Why? Because the eyes tell you. So your face and your eyes have got to match your tone and the choice of the words that you're doing. It sounds so obvious, but you'd be surprised how when people say, are you having a great day? And they kind of go, yeah, I'm having a great day. You've got to make everything match. Those eyes will speak and that face will support you. The second aspect of nonverbal is very, very important in your industry, your appearance. And here, Judge Giulietta will be on you as to things like how your uniform is and how neat you and are your hands clean and your nails clean. And Giulietta in particular has a thing with the chefs about the kerchiefs. It's got to be neatly done and they have a purpose. That appearance says everything I need to know about you before you've even opened up your mouth. It speaks of professionalism. It gives me reassurance in who I'm dealing with. Appearance has got to be dead right. Whether you're a chef, it really matters. If you're a baker, it matters. Wine stewards, you've got to present yourself with the right detail and attention to your uniform. And our concierges, as I mentioned earlier, suggest you wear bottom half as well as top half, but people judge you according to how you look. The third aspect of nonverbal is your body language. Now, I've seen this over and over again. Body language lets you down if you don't guard it. Now, we're not saying you have to sort of stand bolt upright the whole time to attention, but there's nothing worse than a slump. And there's nothing worse than people who turn away as they're speaking to you. Their eyes are in one direction, mouth is going forward in another direction, and the body language says, I just so don't want to be here. And there's nothing worse than the folded arms or the moving away of the hands. Think about it. And when you speak to somebody, use your body in the same way that your voice is intending it. Be aware. Be very, very aware. Let's find a way of remembering that. Fab. Face and eyes, appearance and body language. So that is your non-verbal aspect. Now, how do you find out how you're doing this? Now, I know this is going to sound daft, but trust me, it works. Get the mirror out. When you are wanting to think about something, let's say you've got a presentation for the Reaching for the Stars event, go stand in front of the mirror. Whether you're talking about your baking, whether you're talking about your company that you're working with, a hotel perhaps, whether you're talking about your wines, practice it. Again, it sounds so obvious, but you'd be surprised how people don't practice. Get the mirror out, watch your eyes, watch your face, listen to your tone, deliver to your mirror, and you'll soon see how are you coming across, or if you can, get a long-suffering mate to hear you, but make sure that you understand it. Words and voices and tones and body language and all of that must match. Don't ever, I have to say, disregard that 7%. We're listening. The judges are going to be watching every aspect of how you're coming across, but they expect you to have the 7%. And just for a minute, I'm going to share with you something. Don't just rely on all the nonverbals. Things can go horribly wrong. Have a look at this.
What can I get started for you today? Express yourself. What size? All right. 3 venti lattes. Would you care for a pastry? Nope. Mocha. 3 mocha lattes. Oof. Double chocolate chip muffin. Yum. You want 3 Paul McCartney CDs. Awesome. You know, I love the Beatles. They are my life. assassination. Abraham Lincoln. You, me, gun, shoot. 3 shots. I know, I'm a little slow today. All right, so 3 lattes, 3 mochas, double chocolate chip muffin, and 3 shots. No assassinations. Oh, and 3 Paul McCartney CDs. That's gonna be 6812.
So there you are. Think twice before you assume that just using the right body language is going to be enough. You could land up with a whole heap more than you bargained for. So here we have it again. Fab, ham. These are the aspects that you have to remember if you're going to bring in all elements of communication in a way that presents you as you most want to. And as I said it before, and I'll say it again, you are being judged in Reaching for the Stars and all of your skills of the cooking and the wine and the concierge work. But you'd be surprised how the judges are watching you for how you present yourself, how you get those things across. Quick reminder of what it is that you've got to put into your brains as you go forward. 7% is what you say. 93% is how you say it. Fab and ham. But whatever you do, stay absolutely fabulous all the way through. We're watching you. We are waiting with bated breath for your cook-offs. You are at the beginning of something extraordinary. The very fact that you are chosen to be part of Reaching for the Stars this year says a lot about who you are. You have been seen and you have been selected. When you step up to go and present yourself to the judges, take everything that you are learning on this course, albeit through the Zoom camera lens, and give it your best. You are fabulous. Be fab ham and show us what you're about. See you on the other side, see you at the cook-offs, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to get together properly for the whole gala event one of these days. I wish you luck. Bye for now.